Trying to find out what happened. Okay, wasn't you just talking to her? Can she provide all them information to you?
Well, let me ask you this. I was just talking to her. What if she told me that you beat the out of her and you jumped on top of her and started punching her in the face? Should I just go ahead and take money?
Okay, but don't you know?
It's your side of the story. Give your side.
All these restrictions, you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You know what I'm saying?
Gervonta Davis has finally broken his silence following reports of his arrest and the cancellation of his upcoming fight against Jake Paul. The boxer known as Tank is now the subject of a new civil lawsuit alleging serious domestic violence incidents. So far, his team and coach have provided only minimal public comments, while Jake Paul's November 14th event appears to be in jeopardy as promoters continue their investigation.
So, by all means, if they make a few quid, nobody gets hurt, great. But I certainly would pay back to what I think is just absolutely ridiculous, farcical. Who wants to watch an exhibition? Gervonta Davis is in his prime years. Why is he wasting his time? Why is that having a rematch for the fellow he got a draw with? Why is he not fighting? Why is he not going up a weight and fighting Lopez and Garcia's and them fighters? Why is he fighting Jake Paul in an exhibition? I get the money's great, but he's in the prime years. It's his best year. This is where he can become. Maybe you don't want to be an all-time great. Maybe you don't want to do all that. Maybe you just want.
The civil suit filed in Miami-Dade County accuses Davis of battery, aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. These allegations, if proven true, would carry major legal and professional consequences. At present, this remains a civil case, and no new criminal charges directly linked to this complaint have been filed.
WBC lightweight world champion Gervonta Tank Davis was arrested earlier this week for closed fist slapping his daughter's mother. What's a closed fist slapping? Look like this. Oh, you can't be closed fist slapping women. You can't be slapping women at all. But don't you know your hand is like Thor's hammer? Oh, you can go to jail for even slapping somebody, man. Don't you got a fight coming up? Or are you trying to ruin your career?
Currently, Davis has not made any detailed public statement explaining his side of the story. Instead, the initial reaction has come from within his inner circle. His coach stated that Davis is doing fine and that they are still trying to figure out what's going on. It's a cautious and controlled response, clearly aimed at keeping Davis out of the media spotlight, while legal and promotional teams handle the fallout. Most Valuable Promotions, Jake Paul's company, confirmed that they have launched an internal investigation following the lawsuit. Their statement emphasized that they condemn any form of violence, are collecting facts, and will make a decision after completing a full review. Technically, the fight remains on the schedule, but insiders suggest it's likely to be canceled rather than postponed. Boxing reporter Dame Mara wrote on X that she's about 80% certain the November 14th event will not proceed, initially set for Atlanta's State Farm Arena and later moved to Miami. The matchup had been marketed as a perfect collision of viral entertainment and professional boxing.
In the making, when a fairly novice Jake Paul made a wish list of future opponents, and right in the middle of that list was Gervonta Tank Davis. Many laughed at the time, and some still can't believe we're here. But these two young men are the face of boxing for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the two biggest boxers in America, and they are putting it all on the line. One has the speed, the skill, the accuracy, and the one-punch knockout power. The other has the size, the force, and the unbreakable confidence to make this must-see Netflix. The size difference is...
The agreed-upon rules and context added even more intrigue. Davis, a lightweight champion who typically fights between 135 and 140 pounds, was set to face Paul, who has operated around cruiserweight limits. The press conference confirmed a 195-pound cap and 12-ounce gloves, among other conditions. Davis publicly questioned the fairness of the setup, the size gap, and the overall spectacle, but the massive promotional hype promised one of the year's biggest crossover events.
I watch is Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. I want Tank Davis to knock his block off. I'm sick of the Paul brothers, both of them. I can't stand either one of them. And I know I'll get pounded with emails. Jealous. Oh, I'm not jealous of them. I could care less how much money they make. I don't like their attitude. I don't like the way they conduct themselves. I don't like the way they think.
Across social media, boxing fans have become increasingly critical of Davis, accusing him of dodging top-tier opponents such as Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez in favor of a lucrative showdown with Jake Paul. Many argue that financial gain rather than sporting challenge is now driving his decisions.
Keyshawn Davis, no Teofimo Lopez, no William dudes. You know what I'm talking about? We gotta think and look at Tank Davis' whole life. He done made some bread. But at the end of the day, all that bread that he made, when it's all said and done, he ain't gonna get no respect from his peers. Because we gonna look down his resume and we gonna be like, he was trash, he was some trash, he was some trash, he was alright, but he was never like that. He was okay. He was some trash, he was some trash.
Originally, Davis was expected to rematch Lamont Roach after their first encounter. Ended in a controversial majority draw, that fight was supposed to settle unfinished business and strengthen Davis's legacy. However, when the offer to fight Jake Paul emerged with a reported $50 million payday and global exposure, his camp pivoted quickly. Commentators like Stephen A. Smith have pointed out that this reflects a modern trend in boxing where legacy-defining bouts are often replaced by crossover events that prioritize spectacle and profit. For Davis, the Jake Paul matchup represented not just a sporting contest, but an opportunity to reach a massive global audience far beyond traditional boxing fans.
He's in a division where he's got killers all in his division. You know, Shakur, Haney, who's 147. You know, you look at Tio, for example, Sean, and then you choose to fight someone like Paul. Surely that's a concern when you do look at it like that.
Yeah, but again, it's the world we're in. If you can get huge amount of money to fight someone who's never boxed, really, before, you're going to do it. You know, Floyd Mayweather boxed Logan Paul with a huge weight disparity.
He was done by then.
I know.
He was done. Like, this is an active world champion.
But it's the world we're in.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. And when it comes down to it, it's just like Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather. Two completely different sports. Was the biggest pay-per-view in recent times, wasn't it? Maybe if ever.
Yeah, those are like different comparisons, though, if you think about it. Do you not like?
Yeah, but the sport's in a wild place, isn't it? That's like, I'm just like the reality of where we are, you know. And can't really say much when we're talking about Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua at the same time.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think Tank should get stripped of his title?
Yeah, I think anyone who, just in general, doesn't defend their title, do something else, should get stripped because it shouldn't hold the belts up. You know, in any, like, I think that should be the reality in anything. You know, if you're not going to defend your belts, or you're not defending, sometimes there's the rules, obviously, if you fight for a belt at a higher weight, you can retain the belt until there. But if you're not, don't have intention of defending the belts, you shouldn't hold the belts up. People should get the opportunity to fight for them.
What happened with the failed negotiations between AJ and Jake Paul?
I think anything's still possible. That was always discussed for next year. You know, this fight's November, early part of next year.
Former world champion Carl Froch didn't hold back, calling the situation an absolute joke. Froch revealed that talks for a potential Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight were nearly complete, 99% done in his words. Instead, Paul opted to fight Davis, a man nearly half his size. Froch said the move proves Jake Paul prioritizes attention and safe. Matchmaking over legitimate competition facing Joshua would have been a monumental test, while a bout with Davis, Froch argued, turns the event into more of a spectacle than a true fight.
But the fight against Jake Paul ain't gonna happen anyway. It ain't gonna happen. We can all believe it. Jake Paul is 99% done. Because you know what? Jake Paul's done a great job in hustling at it. Yeah. He's gonna get so hard, but Eddie's in on it, or he's like this young man hustling. Yeah. And so the kid of the kid is.
Well, listen, we've had a chat, caught up. We'll have another chat as well in
Sundays in there.
Sundays, bit of sunbathe. Top of the town.
Yeah, that's right, Dave.
As well.
Blake is an
Let us know in the comments. who you think wins the fight and what Anthony Joshua should be doing next. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Let us know in the comments below. We've got another episode of Froch on Fighting. Got the main man here, Johnny Nelson, aka Big Man. He said it, not me. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we just spoke about. What's next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on.
Meanwhile, Nakasa Badarian, co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions, has defended the matchup and dismissed concerns about the weight difference. He insisted that size won't determine the outcome against a fighter as explosive as Davis. Badarian also revealed that the fight had been in development for years, initially following the collapse of a planned Jake Paul versus Canelo Alvarez bout. According to him, Davis had been pushing for this fight for a long time, and once the Canelo negotiations fell apart, the path to making Davis versus Paul a reality became clear.
Are going to happen November 14th.
Whatever weight they want, man, they're talking about it. And whatever it is, it's going to be a definitive outcome. People can talk about pro, exhibition. We're going to make sure this is as real as it's real.
Why was it, just out of curiosity, why is it not a professional bout and why is it an exhibition? Because I'm sure Jake would have taken the professional bout.
Nothing's been communicated as yet in terms of what it is, right? Similar to, if you remember, with Paul Tyson, when we announced it, we didn't have the weight, we didn't have the rules, particularly in terms of the number of rounds, the minutes, gloves. It's going to be the same thing here.
Gotcha. Can you just offer us any insight as to how these negotiations went? The reason I asked is because I remember back in March, I was at Tank's fight, and after his fight in his press conference, he was asked, next opponent. He said, well, my next opponent might have been in my locker room tonight. And people asked him, was it Jake? He made reference, he made allusion to. Has this been an ongoing thing? And has it ever, been at a point where it wasn't going to happen and came back, or was this always the plan?
Always been the plan for Jake to fight Tank once Canelo didn't happen. And to Tank's credit, he's a real bad dude, and he's been calling out Jake for 3 years. And people, it's funny how now they're saying size matters, Jake is big, when for so long it's been Tank would kill Jake Paul.